Ladies and gentlemen, the Earth's magnetic field is about to flip, and a giant lava lamp in the Earth's core is the driving force. Well, that's according to NASA and several other universities and institutions. Now, could they all be playing the same game and using the same information to come up with their conclusion? Probably. With that said, do you think that we're getting close to a magnetic pole shift? And if so, what does that actually mean? Does that mean that giant tsunamis hit the coastlines? Does that mean earthquakes, megaquakes, like the San Andreas Fault just buckles and buildings fall within the earth? Does that mean that the nuclear reactors peppered around the globe start to explode because they can't get a cooling source, because the electronics get fried from the magnetic pole shift? I don't know. Do you know? And if you do, what are your credentials? Are you a scientist? Have you done years of research in this field? Because I would genuinely like to have you on the show. Seriously, I'm giving a call out to any scientist out there that knows what will actually happen if the Earth's magnetic field flips. Is it going to be like a prophetic experience? Is this going to happen on 9/23? And if so, where are you going to be? You know, here's some other images, some graphs that show, I mean, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, these wiggly lines. I mean, if I research it, I could figure it out pretty quick. But so look at this right here. This is the supposed inner Earth. Now, my question is, how do they even know? I mean, they've never been there, right? We've only gone down approximately, 10 miles into the Earth's core? I don't know. There's mines out there that go down for miles, yet the Earth as a whole, as a globe, what's really in the center of the Earth? Some people speculate a crystalline substance. Some people speculate it's hollow. Now, there are scientific graphs and charts and data that shows there's actually oceans underneath oceans right now. Like there's oceans underneath the Atlantic Ocean. There's bodies of water, I should say, underneath the Atlantic Ocean, larger than the Atlantic Ocean. So it's layers, is what I'm thinking. And I've seen caves that are so large, you've got ecosystems within the Earth, but that still isn't anywhere near close to the center of the Earth. So what's really there? And how do these guys know? What can they use to come up with this conclusion from a scientific standpoint that can be verified again and again? The more research that I've been doing into NASA just the past couple of days, I mean, talk about a stage. And yeah, it really does make you wonder what is true and what isn't from those guys. So I'll do a lot more questions now towards the official status quo with NASA. And I'm also going to get people that have done the math, that have done the research and gone to universities and can come on the show and explain different models. Because NASA is a lot more than just the Earth. I mean, obviously, NASA's shows us all these amazing pictures of the cosmos and nebulas and stars and other planets. And then you can start to question all that. Yet I've got my own telescope, and I can see the moon. I can see Jupiter. I can see the moons of Jupiter. I can see Saturn's rings. I can see Mars. I can see Venus. I can see different stars that have this. They're like little Tesla coils in the telescope. And when you look at the eyepiece, it's really cool. Why are they telling us the Earth's magnetic field is about to flip? Are they just trying to flip people out? Are they trying to freak people out? Is this another wag the dog stage scenario? Or is this really going to go down? And if so, are you guys prepared? Now, you know, I'm out here in South Dakota right now. I met some people yesterday at the X-Fest event. A lot more people are showing up today and tomorrow because the weather's nicer. And really good response thus far. And for those of you that are skeptical about this, come on out. Check it out. It's amazing. And it's also, I'm hoping that this place will turn into some type of micro community of like-minded people. Now, the people that have showed up thus far that I've met, really nice, and they seem to have their head on their shoulders very well, and they're also outside of the box thinkers too, you know, so it's just a good vibe thus far. Now, are there going to be people that show up that are going to be like, probably. Hasn't happened yet, and we'll see what happens when that actually does take place. But Robert isn't going to allow everybody into that community. I mean, just because somebody's got 25 grand, if they're going to be a problem, I don't think Robert's just going to say, okay, let's go, because really, as a CEO of Vivos, as Robert is, it's a big company, and you can't let one person in a society, in like a small micro community that could stir the pot for everybody, because that would be of diminishing returns for everybody, you know. So this needs to be a win-win situation. But so far, I mean, great results, and people are extremely friendly. And the people that actually live on the property, that have been there for years taking care of the property, very nice, knowledgeable, good people, good hearts, good vibes all around. So, you know, my question is, if there is a pole shift, or not a, you know, not a pole shift like physical pole shift, but a magnetic field flipping, what does that do? I mean, would that cause the satellites in space to, you know, telecommunications and other things to all fall to the ground? And why is NASA hiding all this stuff? And why are these institutions hiding all this stuff? And what was up with all the charades in the theater that was played in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s and still to this day? Where do they take all the money? I mean, what do they do with it? Defense purposes? I doubt they just threw lavish parties and secret societies and mystery schools. I mean, maybe that's a small percentage of it. I'm just trying to figure out here. Let's take the word try out. We're going to figure out where all these trillions of dollars have gone and what they're hiding. I mean, certainly the Truman Show possibility, when you look at the moon and Saturn and the rings of Saturn, it certainly makes you question. Yet we can't completely fall into that trap, because we have to stay balanced as well. There's so many different scenarios that we could pick from. So maybe little bits and pieces in these films portray certain events that are legit in a symbolic aspect or something, but we can't take it as, you know, 100% legit. We have to take everything with a total grain of salt. And that's why, once again, question everything. Question the questions, and even when it's in your hands and you're seeing it, you know, you got to be sure what you're resonating with is feeling good in your gut and your heart, and you can sense it all around you. That's one thing I've noticed here lately is when I'm on track, I mean, my body feels it. Like, literally, it happens so much now. And there was a while there, because I've had these feelings before in the past, and I've talked to you about it, but the amount lately is exponential. It is just beyond what I would ever expect. So then I question that. Well, is it me creating it in my own mind because I like it, or is it something of a off-world source? You know, because it's saying you're in the right direction. And then I look back at times before in my life when I've been in a certain situation that I was very nervous, and that feeling came into my body, and everything was okay. 2 more days for the X-Fest here. Hope to see you. I'm actually going to go explore some bunkers here in a little bit and get some more pictures of what they did back in World War II. It's really neat to see some of these drawings, and they got pin-up doll drawings and funny quotes and comments. You know, they didn't have the internet back then, so they would write underneath comments and stuff. And I'm just putting my mind back 60 years ago, what it was like then, and imagining the people and the vibes and the energy and what was going on in their heads as they were out there. It's definitely a blast from the past. It's pretty neat out here. But I tell you, South Dakota in general is one of my favorite states in the entire Union. And I've been to almost every state in the country. There's a few on the East Coast that I haven't been to. And it's funny because I haven't been to Florida yet. I know I need to go. But just about every state. Oh, I haven't been to Hawaii. I've been to Alaska. And South Dakota is definitely in the top 3. It's definitely one of my favorites. So check it out. It's a great road trip either way. And if you're interested in getting one of these bunkers, one of these concrete bunkers through X Point, if you go to terravivos.com, use the code LEAKPROJECT so they know how you heard about them. And they're going to offer some extra equipment to go with your bunker. So ask them about that. If you can't make it to this, to the X-Fest, that's fine. You can definitely, you can be in the convenience of your own home, and you can check it out there. So it's a really neat website, terravivos.com, and it'll show you the layout of the different bunkers and where they're located and the map. And I've explored about 50 to 60% of the area. And I mean, I walked for about 12 miles the second day I was out here, the 12-mile hike. That was fun. Explored the outside of it. And then I also drove about 10, 12 miles that same day, explored another part of the area, and I camped out in the C area. I was going to say C section, and I'm sure you ladies get that. Man, talk about a nightmare. The doctors will be like, oh yeah, it's a normal procedure, no big deal. It's a C-section. It'll be over real quick. Well, my friend had a C-section, and they literally like slice her open and rip the baby out of her body by the leg, twisting and pulling. Not exaggerating. So they slice you open, the water goes, bah! And then you'll hear it too. You'll hear it land in the tray, and then you'll see him rip your baby out by the leg. I'm not exaggerating. That's what a C-section is. So just a normal procedure, no big deal. Everyone should get one now. The hospital industry, the medical mafia, military, industrial complex. They love you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Question everything. Thank you for being here. One more plug I want to give out to. I've got a quick bivvy, which is literally fits in the palm of my hand. This thing is light. It's just a few ounces, and it could save your life if you're ever in a situation where you get stuck out in the cold. This thing is awesome. Now, it's I'll leave the link in the video description box. It should be in your bug out bag. You should have one in your car. You should have one in your house. Seriously, everybody should have one of these things. If there's just one or two things you could have that's easy to carry with you that you wouldn't have to have like a whole backpack for, I mean, you could fit this thing in your pocket even. And if you're planning on going hiking, or if you're going on a road trip, or if you're going to be in an area that might get cold, like when I went out, that trip that I did out in the Guadalupe Mountains, man, I'll tell you, I got a little bit nervous a few times when I had been hiking for about 20 miles and my knees were starting to get pretty sore. It was dark and, I had gone up and down a bunch of mountains. That quick bivvy could have definitely came in handy. Now, luckily I made it back. No big deal. But I was thinking to myself, what happens if I spend the whole night out here? Because I was to the point to where I wouldn't have been able to walk the whole night. Now, walking was keeping me warm. But I had walked for so many hours in the day that to do another 12 hours of walking, or 8 hours or 6 hours of walking for the light to show up would have been very difficult. I would have done it, but man, and having that quick bivvy, I could have just, popped it out, taken a little power nap, and then been right on my way in the morning time. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Question everything once again, ladies and gentlemen, and be the change you want to see. Have a beautiful day.